thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Would you like to introduce yourself, your name?
Hi, I'm Kenneth Fart, and I'm Joint Assistant Director of Culture and Creativity with my job share partner here at Haringey Council.
And I'm Yamin Chaudhry, the other Joint Assistant Director of Culture and Creativity.
Love that. And what did you guys think of the show?
Loved it. Really fun, really exciting. I think for me and Kenneth, half the fun is watching the kids interact and just be so compelled. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the same. I mean, great to see completely packed auditorium, and you could feel how drawn in the young people were. You know, they were really attentive, and you know, the Q&A at the end showed that they'd really absorbed the key messages of the show, but also had a brilliant time, and they loved the characters and they loved the energy.
I would have to say I agree. How do you feel like they engage with the themes of the show?
I think really well. It's a big subject, right? You know, and we're talking about such a current issue in terms of how young people are able to engage not only with education but with their friends, and then with arts and culture. And so much is said about the younger generations having shorter and shorter attention spans because of social media and phones and all of that. And this piece of theatre is proof that when art and culture is created with the participant in mind, that it can keep people engaged and really paying attention and learning.
I'd like to think as well, you know, there might have been a few, certainly as an adult watching the show, it gave me food for thought. And I think one of the things that theatre is brilliant at doing is creating empathy as well as understanding. And so, you know, just to be provoked to thought and think, okay, how, you know, someone might have ADHD, have certain characteristics which could be, some people might find difficult or challenging to deal with. But actually just pausing to reflect, okay, but then if I respond in a certain way, how does that affect the person? What impact does that have on them? Does it make their life better or worse? Yeah. So I think in that sense, the message was really clear and really strong. And I think we got it. I think everyone got it, including especially the young people in the audience.
Yeah, I think that was definitely the aim of the show, to be thought-provoking and also for the audience to learn something about ADHD. With that being said, do you feel like you've learned anything new about ADHD, or do you feel like it's challenged your ideas about ADHD and neurodivergency?
I think the piece of the show that I really responded to the most was the idea of imagination being a superpower, and how T's ADHD made her more powerful, made her more strong, made her more capable to fuel this kind of dream that she had.
I think it's a great point, because it's so easy to see, you know, something like ADHD or lots of other things as just a deficit or as a negative. And actually, so often that's not that may, you know, there may be aspects to it which are challenging for the person and people who interact with them. But again, as Yaman pointed out, you know, the element of superpower is often overlooked. So I think that was a really nice balance there. That you know, we live in a world where things are not necessarily all one or all the other, but sometimes there's two things, more than one thing going on at the same time.
And the dream landscape with the graphics as T was sleeping was such a beautiful way of taking people on that journey, educating them, but not in a dry way, in a way that's engaging and really interesting visually. You know, the dance element with the graphics and everything. There's always something to look at and engage with.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because it reminded me I don't remember that anything was said specifically about it, but when the T character was sleeping, one of the things that came up was cortisol. And we know that's the stress hormone. And so that, for me, made me think that's something for me to go and read a bit more about and understand that, because that can also have a very powerful negative impact on someone's well-being when that stress hormone is triggered.
Agreed, yeah. I definitely love the outlook about ADHD and neurodiversity being a superpower, and also how they added the dance, animation and acting, narration to really just sell the message, and of course included the scientific facts about cortisol and the stress hormone to tie it in. And I feel like the kids really got the message, and everybody in the audience. So
it was a great way to start our day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming to us.
Thanks for having us.
Real pleasure.
We appreciate it, and safe travels home.
Thank you very much.
Hello, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Sue Jameson. I'm the Mayor of Haringey, And I've been mayor since last May, and I'm mayor till next May. And this is a wonderful way to spend a morning.
Oh, thank you so much. What did you think about the Shoemaker?
I thought it was lovely. I thought the energy was constant. I thought the message was clear. I loved the warmth of the family, and I loved how relatable it was, and I loved watching the audience who just loved it. Kids at the front loved it, kids at the back loved it. They all loved it. They were so engaged. It was really lovely.
How do you feel like the children engaged with the themes of the show?
Well, they had so much to say afterwards, didn't they? They'd really picked up the messages. They really liked the characters. They liked all the characters on stage.
Yeah.
It was so relatable. There was something quite gentle about it. Messages weren't being forced. They were being suggested kindly and given a proper explanation.
Yeah, I would say I have to agree. Do you feel like theatre is a good way to convey those messages about inclusion and diversity?
Well, I do, but lots of theatre isn't very inclusive. I've heard children say when they went to the theatre they didn't know where to look, but it was so easy to follow. This show was so easy to follow. So you've produced a show that children will love, and it will inspire them to like the theatre. So I thought it was marvellous, and it was spectacular as well. It wasn't... there's lots of colour, but not too much. So it was really, really good.
I think it was clever, the setup as well. It's a way to keep children engaged, having lots of visuals as well as the animation, along with the bright colours, the dancing, the acting. I really do like how that all tied in together, and it seems like they really did get the message at the end with the Q&As.
Yes, yeah, they did. Yeah, it really worked. It was lovely.
I know, with them giving their facts about what they learned about ADHD as well. Do you feel like you learned anything new about ADHD, or do you feel like it changed or challenged your views about ADHD?
Well, I think sometimes ADHD is sort of seen as a problem, and it was made to see as it's a normal neurodiverse thing.
Yeah.
We're all going to know somebody with ADHD. We are all going to know someone. And it's how to work with someone, how to let them be themselves, give them the freedom to be themselves, and they can do so much with that.
Yeah.
So not to curb it,
yeah,
to embrace it. So it was really nice.
I actually agree with that. I love how they changed their perspective about ADHD, and they actually made it out that ADHD is a superpower.
Yeah.
I would have to say that was probably my favourite part. So
yeah, it's an advantage.
Yeah, definitely. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Well, I was thinking about that. The first one was flying, because I think flying would be really amazing. But then I think shape-shifting.
Ooh, what would you want to shape-shift into?
Well, anything. I think it would be really interesting to be any animal or the creature on the planet. Any size. Things that can fly, things that can be really tiny, so those
true.
sorts of, that sort of wild diversity that shape-shifting can give you.
Then you can fly as well. You've got
I
all
could
of
fly
it.
as well, yeah, and I could be super strong. I could do anything if you're a shapeshifter.
Best of both worlds. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Taylor.
And I'm glad you enjoyed the show.
I loved it.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Would you like to introduce yourself, say your name, what you do?
I go by the name of Shocka. I'm a spoken word rapper, author, mental health advocate. That's me.
Love that. Keep the titles coming. And what did you think of the show Shoemaker today?
I don't even know where to start. To be honest, I didn't know what to expect. And I'm happy I didn't know what to expect, because I went in with no expectations. And whatever expectations I had got blown out of the roof. That was amazing.
Wow.
It was educational. For me, myself, someone that is a mental health advocate, I learned stuff. Especially because I got diagnosed with schizophrenia. paranoid schizophrenia. So that's where like I was mainly trying to learn about that diagnosis.
Okay.
But then there's other ones. There's bipolar, there's ADHD, there's PTSD. So just learning about ADHD and just learned so much more. And my friend was literally saying to me like last week that they was asking him to get checked for ADHD. So it's like now I can tell him more about ADHD when I talk to him.
Did you learn anything new about ADHD?
I did,
from the show?
man. I always knew it was a superpower, but I didn't realise how much of a superpower it is.
Okay.
And I didn't realise like what we were saying about ADHD. People with ADHD are most likely to be entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And people with ADHD are extremely creative, as you saw in the play about the shoes she was making. And those shoes is what literally changed the business and got, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Money coming back into the business. So yeah, ADHD is just a superpower. If you, and that's why it's good for stuff like this, because once you're educated on it, you can know how to use it in a positive way. Do you know what I mean? Whereas someone that's not educated on it, those same abilities that they have could be used against them. Because if you look at that play, my I don't know if that might be the next question. Actually, no, let me not say what I'm going to say. No, because it could be the next question.
I was actually going to ask you, because you spoke about the educational facts. So I was going to ask you if you think that theatre is a good way to educate people on ADHD and neurodiversity.
100%. Because it's not just like being spoken at. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong being spoken at, but being spoken at is like difficult to digest.
Yeah.
Whereas like a theatre play like this, you've got music, there was dancing going on.
Yeah.
So at points I even forgot like I was even witnessing something as serious as this topic because of the dancing that was going on when they was coming out. You've got music, you've got... I think it's just a beautiful way to like get a message across, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially for all ages.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? For the younger generation, the way it's done is exciting for them. And for someone older like myself, there were still elements in it that kept me entertained and kept me engaged. Yeah, it is an amazing way to like get the message across.
Yeah, I think including music, the narration, the animation as well, and the vibrant colours, I think it's a way for everybody to still be entertained.
Yep.
And also, I think what was well thought out is that the show wasn't too long. Some of the feedback we got is for those with ADHD find it hard to concentrate.
Yes, that's true. It wasn't too long. How long was it roughly? About
45 minutes.
About 45 minutes, yeah. That's perfect. Yeah.
And I've got another question for you.
Go on.
You spoke about ADHD being a superpower.
Yes.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Ooh. Probably flying. I'm always flying in my dreams. Have you ever flew in your dreams before?
I have, actually.
You see what I'm saying? And it's lit.
It's actually
so
lit.
it's like I'm always flying in my dreams. I don't know what that means. I don't know if I got to Google it or someone can tell me what that means. But I'm always flying in my dreams and it's so lit.
Oh, have you ever fell in your dreams, though?
I don't recall falling. I have fallen, but that doesn't happen often.
Okay.
But flying happens often. Like I'll be getting chased, and then just when they're about to get me, I start flying. So it's like I would love to know what that is like. Like, do you know what I mean in real life? What that feels like. But yeah, flying would probably be a superpower of mine.
Okay. In relation to you, when you were diagnosed with schizophrenia, would you have loved to see a theatre show speaking about...
Of course. What?
Speaking
that would be
about
like this. That's educational and entertaining me, and that would have been amazing. That would have been amazing. Especially with schizophrenia, because there's not a lot of information on schizophrenia. That's probably the one they have the least information about. Do you know what I mean? So like, that would be amazing, like having a theatre, like, especially someone... acting out what it's like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just the whole thing. So yeah, that'd be amazing.
Okay.
Definitely.
Any last comments on the
Yes,
show?
because I thought you was going to ask me. What I was going to say is that my favourite part of that whole play was, if you noticed, she spent the whole time trying to be accepted. Then as soon as she accepted herself and realised that she's different, that's when they accepted her.
That's so true.
That was like...
very important
that was
part to point out.
As soon as she accepted herself, the moment she said, you know what? Maybe I'm different, maybe I don't need to, and then that's when they started hearing her out.
Yep, as soon as she started owning herself.
Yep.
I agree.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And take care, Shocka.
Yes.
Hi, guys. How are you feeling after your very last show?
Exhaust me, I exhaust. Great. I was trying to look for a bigger word and I couldn't figure out.
Exhilarated.
I love that. I was actually about to ask, can I have one word from each of you?
To the whole experience or?
Yeah, the whole experience.
In one word, I'll say
I liked your word, exhilarating. That's a good one.
Nah, that.
I'll keep it simple. Intense.
I
Not
was gonna say
not
intense.
difficult, not boring or anything. Like intense, as in everything was intense. The training was intense. The preparation, the preparation and executing the show. It was all intense, and like even like our character interactions on and off stage. It's all been like intense. You think over 2 weeks, it was really only 7 days over 2 weeks where we rehearsed. 4 days of shows. It was all compressed into something so small, but produced something so great.
Yeah.
You know, to think like last month, I didn't even know who you were, like in real life, type of thing and everything.
It was a quick turnaround, but I must admit it was so on point in terms of rehearsals. They were structured so well, and I felt like personally, I never felt like it was anything too like too much. I felt like it was breaking down really well. It was really on point, and the choreographer and the director really knew what they were doing, and that was so refreshing. Like, because you can do a job sometimes and like they're not really sure exactly, and that's fine. But for me personally, the best thing about this job is how on point the director was and how on point the choreographer was. It just made it so easy for us to just slot in and do our thing, you know?
I agree.
Yeah,
A
great.
good team makes a good production. I have a question specifically for T as well. What was it like portraying your character with ADHD?
T was just being herself.
Yeah, it was just
Okay.
the usual, I guess.
So you felt like you was actually playing yourself as a character T?
Yeah, I was just having fun with it.
I love that. That's fantastic. And for the whole cast, do you think theatre is a good way to portray these messages such as ADHD and neurodiversity?
175%. I say that because I feel like over the last few years, the idea of theatre has become extremely, what's the word I'm looking for?
Accepted?
No, I'm going to say
Integrated.
extremely bougie, if someone could find me a synonym
But
for that.
recently or
The last couple of years, yes, but it's become like really high end where like theatre's like inaccessible unless it's a big name person that's on the show and it's a da-da-da-da, and you actually start missing out the narratives that are being told within these productions. Whereas something like The Shoemaker, you have no idea what you're coming into. It literally is The Shoemaker. There's nothing to do with ADHD. It's nothing to do with names being associated with it. It's not this company or that company. It's just The Shoemaker. So it becomes a more thought-provoking thing that you're coming to with an open mind, so that you can actually take away the elements that's in the show as facts, as well as just being informative of how to deal with people that are neurodiverse or that have ADHD or have any disability. Are you filming as well? Disability.
If you can call it a...
Disability.
Yeah, and I feel like over the last, well, this show in particular, as well as a few other shows that I know of, it's starting to really bring back the element of the show, not the names attached to the show, not the what's what I'm looking for. Just like the element of the actual show, the theatre is really making this powerful comeback,
Especially
and
with
rightfully
the
deserved.
response that we got after the show as well, because I knew this was going to be a great show, not only just to perform, I definitely enjoyed performing it, but for people to watch. Going from the script to rehearsals to doing a run through, I was like, wow, this is amazing. But when we got the response, like we done like meet and greets, even like the question and answers after the show, seeing how people received the show, understood the show, followed the show as well, it was just it was
And the
great.
relatability to a lot of people.
Yeah, there was a lot of kids, like even tonight, that was like, I'm T.
Yeah.
Like, oh, now I feel seen. Or it makes me feel like I'm not so different. Or I'm not a problem anymore. You know, and then we had teachers say, which was really poignant, it's made me rethink how I teach my students. That was a big one for me, because I think this could easily be seen as a kid show, when actually I think this is very much an adult
all.
show. Or for everyone. It's for everyone, but especially if you have children or you teach children, I think there's no way you can walk away from this and go, I haven't learned anything, or it hasn't made me rethink how I'm going to...
And there's so many layers to the show. So many layers to the show. Like on face value, it just feels very, like you said, child friendly.
Yeah.
It's very energetic. It's very like very over the top. But then when you look from an artistic point of view and you start realizing, oh, their interactions as characters are changing. Oh, their character is changing. All those little moments, even just down to like, there's a moment in the show where Troy and T have like the sit down moment. And that's a big moment of like the contrast of when I'm saying to Dad early on in the show into like, oh, it's so frustrating having a sister like T. And now I'm actually just asking her like, how do you feel? Just that one line is such a like a, raw, like, you went the whole show without asking your little sister, how do you feel?
There's a lot of one-liners in that show.
There's a lot of elements that are actually quite mature. Like, for example, the relationship between Papa G and Mama G. Like, she wants to support her husband and she believes in his values. Obviously, they wouldn't have been married for 13 years and have a business together. But at the same time, she can see how his mindset is affecting her daughter. So there's a conflict there. And that nuance, because it is I guess a kid's show, you could say, it's like, how do you portray that nuance and still keep it on a level which is fun and, you know, and upbeat? And so that was the challenge, but within the challenge, it's just a beautiful experience, you know.
It's been a pleasure working with y'all, man.
Yeah.
Pleasure working with you.
It
That
was
first,
a pleasure watching.
the first
Really?
rehearsal, literally, I remember getting to rehearsals and we started with like the workshop scene, and like at the time, like I don't think we had fully grasped what the show was going to be.
I definitely didn't know who
No,
Papa
I
G
just
was.
like, I'm just doing
It
this.
didn't even have a name.
No, yeah, that part I was just Dad.
It's just Dad,
Just
Mum,
Dad.
Troy and T, and like over
But
time,
who were they?
who were they and why were they like that? Like we came up with context and like backstory for why we interact with each other, and I feel like the way this show even ended, I want to call it version 1. Version 1 even ended, it leaves so much room for explanation of so many other things. Does that make sense? Like why is Dad like that with T?
Yeah.
Why is Dad and son so close? Why is Mum and son not as close?
And even like I go back to having a good director. Like there was a note that Arena came in and said, guys, I want you to write a little backstory. I want you to write how you guys met. What did Mama G used to do when she was younger? Right? So I wrote that. I used to be a dancer and I had to give it up because I had a kid really young, i.e. Troy. And so that's the tiny little nuance of when we do the freestyle at the end and I'm like, no, guys, no. And then I get put in and then I'm like, bah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that wouldn't have come without that
Without that
backstory.
context, 110%.
And that's where we just got great writer, great director, great choreographer, great cast. It's like it's all just fit so well. So.
In just a 1 hour show, so I think it's
Crazy.
over like 4 days. Maybe, let's call it a week. We're performing for this 7 days, but the growth from. I know my daughter's got ADHD, so I have to be patient with her, but I can't stand her. Like, business is business. We're not bringing family into business. And then even like my relationship with Troy, like he can't do no wrong in my eyes. But he was the shoemaker all along. He's the one that's going against everything I believe in. I don't want us making money from these shoes. So it's like, oh, is that why he's doing it in secret? Is that
And
why?
how many
is that-
dads do you know like that? Or
do-
parents?
I got told so much that for the people that come watch the show, is like, yeah, you was a bit harsh on T, and I was like, I'm glad you realised
But
that.
that's what gives it. That's what makes people cry at the end. So
Trying to like
all my
put it
family
in your
cried.
face.
The
Because
accountability.
If you don't have the down stuff, the dark stuff, unfortunately, when it rises at the end, it's not as
kinda like,
powerful.
yeah. If I'm all pally with her throughout the whole show,
You
it's
have
like,
to
yeah.
have that balance, and that's real life. And I think if there was ever a moment where it was too much, I think we would have got notes on it, and we didn't. So well done, you.
It was just ignore her.
Literally not
Sorry,
acknowledged as
Surrey,
much.
I feel like I'm
And I
blocking
think
you.
that really, that relationship really allowed T solo to come out more. Like when she does that.
When she done
frustration,
frustration, oh my gosh.
I personally
My
love
favourite
that
part of
dance,
the
by the way.
Everyone
my
talks
favourite
about that,
part.
yeah.
If y'all
From
seen
the
it-
music?
if we can send you a rehearsal clip, just put a rehearsal clip in
Yeah.
versus what
Cut
y'all
that
did for
into
that
this,
last
right?
show.
Yeah.
From the rehearsals,
Yeah.
from the rehearsals till now, my favorite scene in the whole show by far. But it tells so well now that we know who our characters are. It's like, what
Yeah,
you
at the
frustrated
time.
at?
We
Everyone
wanna-
loves you. Everyone's
The
kind
thing
to you.
is,
What you frustrated at?
Yeah. Like even today, the more we do it, the more nuance gets brought into it. So like before all the other shows, we never had a moment where me and Dad really when he was being really harsh on her. Me and him never really had a moment. But today, when he did one move, instead of looking at T, he looked at me because he could tell I was giving him a bit of attitude to be like, yo, like you're doing too much. And those are the nuances that come after doing something repeatedly. So like if we were to continue to do this, it's only going to get more and more believable, relatable.
This is what I'm saying.
And the art's
It was
gonna come out
intense.
more
This
and
is what we done in 7 days,
Yeah,
over
can
2
you
weeks.
imagine?
If we had
Did it?
2-3 weeks to rehearse and write, by the time it would have been oh my gosh, the story it would have told.
I think I loved hearing you guys write backstories for your characters, and I think that really showed through to us as an audience with your chemistry. All the children we got them to write some sticky notes at the end, and there was like, oh, we love the family, and it's like, it's so believable, you know, and very relatable.
Do you know, again, without us actually saying, because without the intro, I don't think it's, well, we know our mum, but again, without the chemistry between us, it could very easily be, I'm the boss, you're the second in charge, and you two are just workers. When this isn't a family business.
Yeah.
But without saying family business, you know we're a family.
And just that line of family business also elevates the show 110 times more of why the problems seem to ignite a lot quicker, because like your patience with T is so thin because of your expectations that you have with me. Yeah. Like just those little moments, because as a worker, you'd probably just, okay, you're fired, next.
And I think no
do you get what I mean? But you don't want to fire your family, and it's a family business.
About the fact that, listen, the way that Papa G feels is very relatable as well to a lot of parents, to a lot of teachers. We all get
teachers
frustrated
as well
with situations like that, and that's okay. And it's that understanding that you can change your mindset, no matter how old you are. You can, you know, come down to someone else's level and try to understand where they're at. And I think that's something
and what that does
really,
for you.
I really hope gets carried across.
And what that does for the individual.
And what that does, and look how happy she was.
Yeah.
And look how happy he became. He became so happy that it allowed us to be like,
let
what?
that go, you know,
I think I was just a bit mad I didn't have a pair of shoes for my own.
He became so happy he learned how to dance.
Yeah.
He was like,
Dad learned how to dance, and I was like, I don't know.
Magical shoes.
must be the shoes. It's got to be the shoes.
Thank you so much. You were all amazing, and hopefully we get to see this again.
Absolutely. Elizabeth!
Well done, cuz.
No, thank you so much, man. Hey, fam, wait, come back. Where you? I know you're in a rush, man. Family, I got this.